It's a really good movie. There's a woman up in I want to say Juneau, or no. What's the Nome, Alaska. And back in the day, she was she became famous because she claimed aliens were basically like showing up and abducting her and stuff, right? And eventually, her kid got abducted by aliens, or so that's the case, and they accused her of like killing the kid or whatever it may be. Like, obviously, nobody believes that this woman's son was abducted, or daughter was abducted by aliens.
So it's not
they made
currently
a movie.
available in our
Yeah, I
country?
think
What?
it's like in Canada. I think it's showing up weird.
You can only get it in Canada?
I don't know.
Go down to the what?
That's strange.
Interesting.
But they have it's a movie about this case, but they splice in real footage of her therapy sessions she had to go to, that she was going to while she was being abducted each night. And they do this I don't really know how to describe it. This deep meditative state that makes you recall your dreams, and she's like describing all the things that were happening to her, these aliens, and she starts screaming, she starts like levitating up from the couch a little bit, like it's creepy as shit. But it's a really good movie. It's my favorite abduction movie I've ever seen. And obviously nobody believes her. She runs into the one person. Oh yeah, like that old footage is like the real footage.
Wow. So here's my issue with the alien abduction thing. Other than there's not like any real solid evidence that you could point to that's very convincing. It always happens at night. And it always happens during the periods where people sleep. And when you're sleeping, I'm not saying always. Okay, I'm sure there's some stories out there. I'm sorry. But most of the stories I've ever heard are people in their bed, they can't move, aliens abduct them,
Paralysis.
or they're in a car, the car stops, they wake up, aliens abducted them. When you go to sleep and you dream, there are psychedelic chemicals that your brain makes, and we don't know how much they're making. We don't know what effect that's having on your dreams. We don't know what is going on. What is going on with dreams? What is going on with vivid dreams? What is going on with dreams that they're indiscernible from real life, and sometimes in a strange way. Like, what is that? Is that a psychedelic state your brain goes into every night?
Yeah.
And if chemicals vary in human beings, serotonin varies, dopamine varies, everything varies, testosterone varies, estrogen varies, it varies. Wouldn't you just assume those psychedelic chemicals would vary? And wouldn't you just assume that sometimes maybe even people are in very agitated, anxiety-ridden states, high cortisol levels, perhaps maybe those chemicals are coming out in an abundance too. Now,
So it
if
hits a
you're
spike in it,
lying
yeah.
in bed and you're having an insanely vivid and terrifying interaction with aliens every night, because your brain is just dumping psychedelics into you. And this is your big fear. So you're going to get abducted by aliens again. And then there they are again, leaning over your bed and they're reaching for you. And
Constant
you're like,
paranoia.
and then here's the mind fuck of all mind fucks. Maybe psychedelics are a gateway to some other reality, some other dimension that's accessible by these creatures.
I like this.
And that when you are getting abducted, you really are getting abducted. Like whatever your being is, or your spirit, or whatever is you, is getting, you're interacting with these things. And it feels real because it is real. And because we're thinking about the ability to come in contact with other life forms as being a physical thing. It might be that there's a chemical gateway in your mind that when breached, you enter into a dimension where physical bodies don't exist anymore and everything moves in this constant soup of geometric patterns. And that whatever your consciousness is, whatever your soul is decoupled from the body and thrown into this realm.
I imagine that's probably what happens at death.
It probably is what happens with death. It's probably what it's all, I mean, that's probably why people think about it that way, that you're going to transcend into heaven. You're going to go into this new place. It might be true. It might be, like, a lot of the old depictions of, like, what happens when you enter into a psychedelic state. I've heard this multiple times, that it's like a well of souls, that you're interacting with souls that are like completely unattached to a physical presence.
Yeah.
And maybe you're getting layers and layers of that depending upon how fucked up you are while you're sleeping. And maybe some of those layers are, boom, aliens are in the room with you.
Peeled back.
Just aliens in the room with you. And maybe they can do that. Maybe they can visit you while you're in those states. Maybe that's what's happening too.